So, welcome to the second episode of Locking In. Today we have the XaltOfficial, the Diana OTP from E West. So, hello, welcome to you. Hope you're doing good, bro.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Have you played solo queue today?
I have, yes.
How did it go?
Yeah, you know, solo queue full of goblins. It is what it is.
You lost every game?
I think I won one.
Out of how many?
I don't know. Probably not.
Nice, good start.
Out of 6, I think.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, let's just get right into the first topic. So the first topic is best amount of champions to play in order to climb. So do you think that it's better to play like 1, 2, 3 champions, or do you think it's better to have like a champion ocean basically?
Honestly, it depends if you're new to the game or not. I think new players benefit from having like an OTP. Maybe if it isn't meta, like me, for instance, playing Diana before it was meta, I climbed to Masters with that. But now, with it being permabanned, I'm just dropping permanently. So I'd say probably 2 trick would be ideal to climb with. Having a champion ocean's too much because you'd have to just practice every champion, every matchup. But yeah, I'd definitely say 2 champions max. 3 out push.
Would you have like 2 similar champions? Like let's say you play mid lane, right? And your champion consists of like 2 or 3 AP champions. Do you think it's better to have like similar champions, or do you think it's better to have some diversity in terms of like AD, AP, tankiness, engage, whatnot?
It's always nice to have obviously an AP and an AD, but if say for instance you're playing an assassin, you don't want to be swapping out and playing a control mage. So I'd say stick to what you know best. If you're playing an assassin, stick to assassins. If you're playing control mages, stick to control mages. And if there is ones that fit in, like Talon, for instance, is an AD assassin, but I can't get the hang of him because I can only play AP champions. So yeah, I'd probably say stick to just one core.
So some people like, I think you also gotten this question before, like some people are like, how can you play like this champion so many times, don't you get bored of playing this champion over and over again? What would you give like as a helpful tip for people that feel like their champion is just boring or whatever?
I'd probably say if the champion's boring, it's probably not for you. If you're getting bored of playing the same champion, then maybe try find a new one that you find fun, I guess, because people ask me all the time, oh, don't you get bored playing Diana 300 times in a month or whatever?
Oh.
But I strive to be like the best at that one champion, and that's what drives me to play her. So if you don't have that mindset, I can see how you would get bored playing that champion if you're not trying to be the best at that single champion.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think the best amount of champions to basically climb would be, again, like 2, 3, maybe 4 champions at most. Simply because if you're a one trick, sure, you can get to like Masters-ish fairly easily, but if you really want to push for high elo and you can literally only play one champion, if you get target banned, like you're forced to dodge over and over and over again. And if you don't dodge, people will literally call you griefer because it's like, oh, why don't you dodge when your one trick is like banned? So yeah. If you hate dodging, do not become a one trick. If you don't mind dodging, become a one trick and then it's fine. But yeah, if you hate dodging, play 2, 3 champions-ish, get like high elo from that. And then if you want to go pro, then I suggest that you expand your champion pool. But if you just want to get high elo, then just stick to 2, 3 champions, and that's basically it.
I wouldn't really worry about being banned out until you get around D2, unless you're a really big streamer, obviously, you're being sniped. But even so, the champion pool, I mean, the player base up until D2 is so large that there's like very slim chance they're going to be able to target ban you and snipe you out.
Yep.
So don't worry about it if you're below D2, I'd say.
Yeah. So let's get into the next topic here. So what do you think is like, can you make like a most broken to least broken role in the league? Like what's your opinion? What role is like the strongest, like best to climb, like carry and whatnot?
Best to climb, I'd probably say jungle, just because you have control over the map. Obviously it's not easy to jungle with 3 losing lanes, but you can impact a certain lane as much as you want and as little as you want. Then I'd say probably mid, secondary, support, ADC, and then top lane, because top lane's an island and it's irrelevant.
Yeah, my list would be mid lane as number 1, then jungle, then support, then ADC, and then top lane. And I think the reason why is because like mid lane, you can still control like the jungle like a little bit, like you can still affect it. Because in my opinion, if you have 3 losing lanes, you can't win the game even if you're winning jungle. But if you're winning mid lane, I still think you have like a very small chance of being able to carry the game And that's why I think that mid lane is just slightly better than jungle. But in some cases, like mid lane will be stronger, other cases jungle will be stronger, right? But just overall, I'd say that mid lane has like a very, very slight edge over jungle. But definitely mid jungle is the two best. And then support, again, because you can roam. Like if you have a bad ADC, you can go mid, you can go jungle, you can go top, whatnot. But if you have a good ADC, you can just stay in lane and win. And then you have basically two people ahead. You have Drake control, you can carry the game through bot lane that way. And then ADC is number 4 because, again, your support can roam, so sometimes you'll be left like 1v2 situations and whatnot. And in my opinion, in bot lane, support is like the main carry in laning phase and not actually the AD carry. So basically, support should control like the wave and engages, poke, whatnot, whereas the ADC should just mainly focus on trading autos for minions and then just farming. And that's basically it. And then top lane is the least impactful role because, I mean, by the time the first rift out is gone, top lane is just irrelevant. Like, nobody cares about second rift. Nobody cares about top lane. So, yeah, It's
interesting how you say that jungle is obviously weaker than mid lane, but I'd say mid lane is weaker than jungle.
Yeah.
We both main them roles. So, but like, if a jungler decides, I don't get to play the game as a mid laner, I'm not going to play the game, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, we pretty much like agree on like what's the most broken to least broken role. But would you say that you can get basically to like higher elo with any role, or would you suggest like lane swapping is just like you have to play one role or whatever?
I think you can get to high elo with any role, but it just takes longer in different roles because obviously you have to just coin flip some of the games in like for instance Diamond 4. You're just gonna coin flip until you get out of it, basically.
Yeah,
especially
I 100% agree.
Less impactful roles. Like if you was to say, for instance, be a allowing main top lane, right? You're going to be coin flipping 50 of the games. And so it's going to take a lot longer on roles that you can't impact as much on.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go into the next topic being the Gwen release. So have you played against Gwen in solo queue?
I have.
What do you think of the champion?
Mutant of a champion right now. That champion is just, it's on another level at the moment. Literally, if you're a melee champion, yeah, there's no contesting that champion right now. When she released, people didn't know how to play her, and she wasn't that much of a threat. But now people have got the hang of her, and she's just an absolute devil in solo queue. She just wins every lane she goes against if they're melee.
So I have seen Gwen in both top, mid, and jungle. Do you feel like there's one lane that she's superior compared to the other two, or would you say that she's just overall good in like all lanes?
I'd say definitely top lane. She's much more relevant, rather than jungle and mid lane. Mid lane, she can get poked out roamed. But yeah, jungle, I haven't really seen her, so I can't comment on that really.
I've seen mostly top and jungle, and then a little bit of mid lane. I feel like mid lane is like a counter pick, really. Jungle and top lane seems more like as a blind pick, and I think that's because like you can just more easily get countered than mid compared to the other two.
Yeah.
Sure. So do you feel like she was just OP, like from the release, and then people just didn't understand her, or was she like underpowered, or what do you say?
I don't think they changed her numbers, did they?
No, I don't believe.
Yeah, I think it was just the case of like, same instance with like Aphelios, like people didn't know how to play him when he released. So he was just terrible when they released him. And then that actually put his win rate down when they buffed him, didn't they? But then when people figured out how to play him,
and he was still mega broken.
Yeah, and that's kind of where Gwen's sitting right now. She's getting on borderline. Like, she's going to be broken for a while until they even nerf her or change something on her now.
Yeah. So let's get into an interesting topic here. The current League of Legends punishment system. So
wait, you have one?
I can say that, yeah, it's not existing. There's not a punishment system. Like, where is it?
Yeah, no, I don't think they do have one. I mean, I get instant feedback reports, but then I get the same player in my game again, so...
I don't even get it. It's like, I report like maybe 1 or 2 people, even if they're an enemy team, I'll still report, and then nothing happens. Like, I literally played with an Urgot that died 9 times, and just straight up ran it down.
He didn't type, though, so he
he didn't type anything, so he can't get banned.
Oh yeah, no. There's no chance. If you're just playing the game, you can literally lose games on purpose. But if you don't type a thing, Riot's like, nah, he's still trying.
Yeah, he's trying his best.
He's still trying his best. He's only died 17 times in 4 minutes. Yeah, give him the benefit of the doubt.
So I have an interesting input here. So do you remember back in the day where if you got punished, you were forced to win 25 normal games in order to queue up for ranked again? Were you around back then?
I started in season 6, so I don't think I was then. I don't think I was around then.
because basically what happened is if you were griefing, so instead of like a chat ban or like a 2-week ban, you were forced to win 25 normal games. Like you didn't have to
Win
play them, you
25
needed to
normal.
win them. And once you won those 25 games, you could then queue up for ranked again. Until then, you could only queue up for like normal ARAM. I think that was
Do
pretty much it.
ARAMs count as like a win for it?
No. It had to be. I think it was normal draft.
Or no? Yeah. I just go next account if that happens to me. There's no chance I'm playing 25 normal games and winning them. There's no chance.
But what do you think about that system? Do you think like that's a better system than like the current? Because I had it once and then it never happened again because I hated it. I was like, I cannot play 25 normal games.
I feel like that would just force people to smurf more though, and then that leads to another issue, really, doesn't it? So if you was to play a Diamond 1 game and then you're forced to play 25 normal games, you would probably just think, nah, I'll just go next account and play.
Yeah, I'm sure it would now.
Like, yeah, I reckon it'd just make the game worse for lower elo players because it'd be full of smurfs again. I mean, Smurf Skew kind of fixes it, but you always play Smurf Skew and there's like one player that isn't smurfing.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, why am I here? And then
yeah, exactly.
instance,
it's just a flip.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what do you think about? Do you play CS:GO?
No.
Basically, in CS:GO, they have like a system where you can basically review the game. So if you have like a high, let's say you have a high honor level in League, then you would be able to get access to review other people's games. So you would get like some clips. Basically, there would be like a system that will show you like some highlights where something's happening, and for 5 minutes you would like review the game. And then after the game basically, or the review has ended, then you basically say like, did he grief? Did he not grief? Did he do anything? And then depending, like you would give this game to a lot of people, and then depending on the results of people voting, you would either get banned or not banned. And then sometimes it would be like a test where a person is not griefing, just to make sure that everyone is not getting banned and everyone's just typing, yeah, just ban every fucking one that I get a review from, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think of a system like that, where it's basically like the player base that gets to decide if the player needs to get punished or not?
Didn't League of Legends have the tribunal?
I think they had it, yeah.
Yeah, they had a similar thing, except you couldn't see the games. I think it was just reviewing. I think it was chat logs, and then you get to do something along those lines. But I reckon it'd be hard to tell. It'd be really hard to tell because it could be a clip of him solo dying 4 times, and then he's playing for the rest of the game, but he died on purpose then 4 times. You know what I mean? Or selling all your items and then buying a troll build, like, and that's not bannable because they want off meta picks and off meta builds and stuff because they had that whole dilemma with that Singed that got banned, didn't they? For playing support Singed with Smite.
Yeah.
And Nubrak as well, that Teemo mid lane player.
Yeah, I don't like that guy, but
yeah, so it'd be a gray area really of trying to like punish people based on the clips they give you, unless they give you the full VOD. And then obviously no one's going to sit there and watch a 30-minute game and be like, yeah, all right, this guy's a griefer, ban him.
So what do you think is the solution then?
The 25 normal games could work, but then it'd still be the case of detecting griefers and intentionally ruining games. I honestly have no solution to it really. Maybe voice chat, so then we can actually just flame people in voice. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, every other game has voice chat, so
yeah. I mean, even some of Riot Games' games like
even
Valorant has it.
Voice chat, yeah. I mean, it's needed really because in like D1 games, you usually versing pre-mades, and they're on voice. If you're playing solo, you're versing a mid jungle pre-made on voice, you have no chance. And if it's specifically on NA, everyone joins everyone's Discords.
Yep.
There's so many streamers in that elo. So it's like you're versing a 5-man stack, basically playing flex queue, and we have no voice comps, like, at all.
Yeah. You're just most likely not gonna win that. So
you pinged 4 times, yeah. Good luck. Muted pings now. Now what? You have no communication with them at all.
Yeah, true. So some people said that Riot should just hire a few Riot employees to watch specifically only high elo games or high elo streams in order to detect if people are griefing the high elo games. Because sure, it happens in all elos, but Riot cannot have enough employees to watch all games. You feel like it would be fair only have to Riot employees watching, like, let's say master tier or above games, and then the rest of elos they will just have a different system. Do you feel like that would be fair towards the community, or do you feel like that's just like a bad idea?
I feel like it would be, because from master tier upwards, it's just a completely different game, really, isn't it? Like one grief, which obviously if we played the game that long to get to masters, we know how to grief a game and get away with it. We all know how to intentionally ruin a game without making it obvious that we're going to get banned. So I reckon it would be beneficial for them to do that, but I can't see Riot ever doing that because there's just so many like servers, and it just Like, what one game you have a griefer, the next game you have a right employee watching that game, then they don't grief, you know. So it'd be too hard to like moderate that.
Yeah. So I guess we're just fucked. Like, there's just not gonna be like an
Yeah,
actual
there's just,
system. Like
there's
the
just no
community
hope,
just took over,
basically.
man. Like the community just gets to control Riot Games now. Like
There
it
is
just
no
took
hope,
over.
but like, yeah, there's just no hope.
Got it. So the next topic is an interesting topic. I can't climb because of my teammates. Is this an actual true statement, or is there actually something that you can do?
If anyone says they can't climb because of their teams, they just need to go and play Fortnite or Minecraft or something. The game isn't for them. If they're playing a team-based game, they need to understand that they're part of the team and be consistent themselves. Nobody is stuck in their elo because of their teams. It's just, it doesn't happen, and it's never going to happen because that's just not the way Riot is. Like League is. It's just not.
So, do you believe that some games that your teammates like completely make the game like unwinnable? Like
Yeah,
not
of
every
course.
game,
Yeah.
but some games.
Yeah, of course. Like some games are just not winnable. No matter how 1v9 you are, there are just some games that you just have to, all right, whatever. My bot lane's 0-6. Like you can't do anything about it. But if you have a 50% win rate, 50% of them games you're gonna win. 50% you're gonna lose. 50% might be because of your team. Some might be because of you. But if you're just consistent, you're gonna climb no matter what elo.
Do you feel like if you duo that there's a bigger chance of winning, even though like you have like then 3 teammates that could possibly like run it down, or would you say that even if you have a duo, it doesn't really matter?
If your duo is still like, it depends who your duo is. If they're as consistent as you are and they have the same win rate and they're climbing, then yeah, that's good because then you have like one less person who's going to be coin flipping because you know they're consistent. So I'd say duo can be beneficial, but then I'm not sure if your duo you verse more duos. I'm not sure how that works.
They
But
said that they were gonna matchmake it like that, but it doesn't really seem like it from my
it doesn't
personal
seem like it.
experience.
But in my experience, like if I'm playing mid lane and I'm versing a duo mid jungle, there's zero chance I'm going to be playing that game. Like I'm literally going to be sat at my tower for the 20 minutes until my team flip it. So if you're playing an impactful role, if you need to have a duo that's going to impact your role. If you're playing bot lane, obviously have a duo support. If you're playing mid lane, duo jungle. If you're playing top lane, just play solo. There's no
Yeah,
point.
no, nobody cares about top lane.
There's
Nobody
no
wants
point.
to duo with top.
There's no point.
Just role swap, man. Like, who
Yeah.
cares? So, do you feel like this is the same like for all elos? Because people are saying like the game is like more team dependent now than it was like a couple of years ago. But also like the higher elo you go, the less you can actually 1v9 the game. Because in lower elo you can still 1v9 in my opinion if you're actually just smurfing it and know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
So what elo would you say that it's like at some point like your teammates are actually affecting it so much that it's very hard to climb, even if you are still consistently better than your opponent, let's say?
Diamond 4. Diamond 4 is absolute goblin elo. Like everyone in that elo, you must assume is an enemy to you. Even if they're on your team, chances are they're gonna try and make this game lose for you. Like from Diamond 4 to Diamond 2, I would say it's just absolute hell. You just have to spam games and flip. Play consistently, spam games. That's literally the only way.
So
Even challenger players lose in Diamond 4. That's how flip it is.
yeah, I would say like D4 is the worst, but I wouldn't say like Diamond 3, Diamond 2 is that bad, but then Diamond 1 again becomes really, really bad. That's
Diamond,
like my experience.
Diamond 1, the issue with that is ego. Like
Yeah, exactly. D4 is just people being bad, D1 is like ego.
People get to D1 and they assume, oh, right, I'm here now. Like, I'm close to Masters. I deserve Masters. And I'm better than you. And everything you do, if it isn't to their schedule, is wrong. So, yeah, if even if they are wrong, like, they don't care. You're wrong in their eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, you get it most because you're a jungler. They die solo, it's your fault.
Yeah, I just mute all, to be honest. Like, I don't believe having chat on below, like, Master, Grandmaster is worth it, because in my opinion, you should only have chat for timing summoners. And if you don't type summoners yourself, you shouldn't use chat either.
Yeah,
so
there's no point in having chat, ever. Like, even in Masters tier games, it's just, oh, jungle diff, GG, FF15. After dying at 2 minutes into the game.
Exactly. So, the next topic is Mark Yetter leaving. So, can you give us like some more insight? Because I'm pretty sure not everyone knows. So I know that he's leaving for some other project, but I'm not exactly sure like when he's leaving and what he's gonna be doing next.
I'm not exactly sure when he's leaving, but he tweeted that he's gonna be running point on the, I think it's the League MMO that he's working on, if I read it correctly before. He tweeted about it not long ago. So basically, he's the head of the balance team at the moment, and we all love him so much with his amazing work. All his great buffs that he does. So yeah, someone will be replacing him. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure who, but I'm not sure whether to be happy or upset about it really. Because for all we know, the next Mark Yetta V2 could be a silver Yasuo main and decides, well, all right, well, we need to buff Yasuo because I can't get out of silver. Or, oh, maybe a Lux skin's coming out. Let's make Lux's ult kill towers now. So, yeah, I don't know about how to think about that one.
Were you happy about like Mark Getter's like so far, like the work that he has done so far, or would you say that it's like just whatever, or that it was straight up just bad?
Honestly, he's a fucking mutant. Like he's just clueless to this game. I don't feel like they should have a lead balance of the game if they're not good at the game. It doesn't make sense to me. How can someone balance a game that they don't know about? Like, sure, he has a decent understanding of the game, like he knows how to play the game, but if he's like, oh, we need to make Bramble Vest 10 gold, like, and he thinks that's a good idea, like, because he doesn't understand the game mechanics that well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like anyone below Master Tier should be a lead balance team for the game.
So someone said that Mark Getter and like the balance team should try and talk more to like pro players and high elo streamers, players, whatever, to try and get a better understanding of how like the actual meta is, and basically like the builds and what the issues are, and actually get the point of view from like an actual person who mains the champion or that role, rather than just like kind of guessing and then like moving from patch to patch being like good and bad until they finally like get one good patch. I feel like that's how they do it at the moment.
I feel like that would be a lot of bias though, because say for instance they go and ask a Diana main, they're like, "Oh, you think Diana's weak?" And I'm like, "Yeah, she's terrible, man. She needs 9,000 more damage on her ultimate." So that could be absolutely horrible if they ask the wrong people, and I'm pretty sure like people would start to abuse that if they did ask high elo players. Like, for instance, someone really loves Samira, and they're like, "The champion's absolutely terrible. We need to buff her." And then he climbs to rank 1 because of it. So people can abuse it pretty easily.
So do you think Riot should like balance for high elo, mid elo, low elo, or competitive? Because that's kind of like the issue that Riot is having at the moment. Like you can have like a champion that's super broken in, let's say, Iron, but nobody will play it in Challenger. And then you can have a champion that's really good in Challenger, but nobody plays it through like a plus 45% win rate below Diamond, let's say.
I feel like Lee Sin in lane right now is kind of that perfect example. Like Lee Sin in lane right now is absolute menace in D2 plus right now. He's just picked up and uncontested, one of the best laners easily right now. Or before this patch, I don't know if he's been nerfed or not. And in lower reload, obviously people can't utilize his kit as well. So I feel like they should have like kind of like a mid ground where if a champion's overperforming in high elo, they tone it down a little bit. And if a champion's overperforming in lower elo, then they kind of tone it down just a little bit less because obviously low elo, the statistics are just everywhere because there's there's just a fiesta basically. There's no format to the game down there.
Yeah, I mean, Lee Sin got a 1 second cooldown added on his E, and that was basically like the nerf that he got. But another good example I would say is the Rumble in jungle right now, because people have very, very like split opinions on it. Because we've seen like MSI, it got perma picked, and but in solo queue you see like, oh, the champion is like 45% win rate, and people saying there's no way that this champion is good. But in my opinion, I believe that the champion is good when you know how to actually play it. But the thing is, most junglers just don't know how to play it at the moment. So once we actually get to know how the champion works, the champion is really, really strong in jungle. Of course, he got nerfed this patch, which probably moves Rumble back into mid lane. But it's kind of funny how the champion went from being like a top laner back in the day to then going into mid lane as a kind of flex pick. And now it's into jungle, but now it's back into mid lane. So people just need to understand how the champion actually works before you can really like say if the champion is good or bad. Because the people that do know how to play Rumble plays it really, really well. But the ones that doesn't really quite know how the champion works yet will, of course, have like a way like underperformance on the champion, simply because the champion is quite unique with the ulti.
I feel like some champions just fly under the radar as well. Like, for instance, last patch, 2 most contested junglers, Diana and Morgana. This patch, Diana hasn't been changed, but her
No.
ban rate's gone down by at least 4% within this last few days, just because she just is flying under the radar again completely. But like some champions like that, I feel like they need a bit more attention from the balancing team. I'm not saying like nerf Diana, please don't. Like if you're watching, don't nerf her again. But yeah, no, they some of the champions they need to really take a look at and see if it's just a one trick boosting their win rate, if it's a general public, you know. So they really need to just focus on specific numbers rather than, oh, let's go on UGG and see which champion has the highest win rate. Nerf that, because I feel like that's all they really do. Really, they say they have all these statistics and stuff, but they just pretty sure they just go on OPGG and look at the highest win rate champions and think, is that getting a skin? Nope, nerf it.
So some people, so we have Aiden here from chat saying that people just go onto UGG and look at win rate, and then only from the win rate determine if the champion is OP or if it's bad. What do you say like the other impactful numbers to look at in order to say if a champion is broken or not? Because I wouldn't say that win rate really matters all that much if the other numbers are completely like inflated in one way or another.
I'd say it really matters against like counter picks. I think that's the most important thing of that, because if you're playing a certain champion as a counter pick to a meta player, a meta jungler, sorry, or whatever, meta lane, if you pick that meta jungler and they pick the counter pick, but your champion has a higher win rate and theirs doesn't, but that champion beats yours, then that other champion's win rate is going to go higher. But it's not because it's broken, but it's just because it's picked to counter that specific champion. So I don't know about that one. It's a bit rough, really, with balancing just off of statistics of UGG.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get back onto like the actual topic of Mark Yetter leaving. So would you say that it's better to have multiple people becoming like a leader and have like more of like a team compared to just having Mark Yetter solo like being the leader? I know that there are also some people behind the behind the scenes that are also changing some numbers, but basically it seems like Margetta has like a huge impact compared to some of the other people. And it seems like some of the buffs and changes that you see some other Riot employees are like commenting on doesn't really end up getting any like attention whatsoever.
I feel like it shouldn't be. I feel like the majority vote. It shouldn't be. He says yes, this is happening, and it's going to go forth. If he says I want to buff Malphite, and the four others say no, that buff is still going to go through because he is the lead. I feel like it should be a majority vote.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't just be one opinion on it. Let's go.
I think that's a good idea. So let's move into the next topic, MMR abusing. So this is basically a topic that has been pretty much very popular since Season 9. I feel like Season 9 was the point where everyone's just starting to talk about MMR. Like, oh, my MMR is like really, really good, or oh, my MMR is really, really bad. So yeah, when you say that basically the MMR abusing started?
I'd say MMR abusing's always been about within the last 3 seasons. It's just been mainly for like high elo players. Like for instance, Panzer Dragon. He's the perfect example. He's not an incredibly amazing player, but he knows when to dodge and what games to play. So he was consistent being high challenger because he knew if he dodges this, his MMR won't go down, and then he can win the next game, and so forth. When I said MMR abusing, it's more like the normal games. When everyone was playing the normal games,
yeah,
they had I don't know which Riot employee figured that's going to be a good idea to have a normal base system, then take it to your ranked. It was just ridiculous, and now the ladder is completely screwed because it's full of like so many inflated MMR accounts.
It's basically Season 9 all over again.
It's like you have like when you load into a game and you check all the names of the players that you're versing and they're all level 30 accounts in Diamond 1 with 10 games played, and you're just like, well, this is going to be a fun game, but you don't know if you're versing a Diamond 4 player or a Challenger player, so it's absolutely terrible.
So I feel like oh, sorry, go.
I feel like the way they could maybe get around it is have like, if you ever played Overwatch, they have like the number rating, which is like, I don't know what they call it in Overwatch, but they have like their MMR is their rank basically.
Yeah.
And when you win a game, you get plus 15 or whatever. And then that way you go up and down division based on your MMR. With LP, obviously you can just dodge and abuse it, or play normal games and abuse it, fresh accounts, transfers, all that.
Yeah, so I believe that the reason why Riot initially made like the change of normal games now coming into ranked was to try and avoid people starting a super low elo and kind of like get the entire system into Smurf queue. The issue I have with that system is the fact that people are like gaining 30 LP and they're losing 8, And I've basically said this to everyone. If you plan on playing more than 200 games this season and you're below plat, there is no excuse for you not making a new account, because that way you easily get plat. Like, you will get plat in less than 100 games. Very
I'd
easily.
say less than 30 games if you make a new account. Even if you're not like, so if you're a plat 4 player and you make a new account and you win, say, I don't know, 60-70% of your normal games leveling up, you're gonna place in like gold 4 probably, maybe a bit higher depending on how well you do your placements. And within the next 30 games, you're gonna be borderline plat 1, diamond 4.
Yep. Yeah, it's just way too broken, and you see everyone doing it, and it just creates like an entire problem of people being a higher rank than they actually should be. But to go into the system of basically your MMR should be your LP, I think the issue with that would be the fact that the people that spam games, like let's say people who spam 3,000 games compared to people that only play a couple of hundreds games per season, basically that it forces people to spam games. And I don't know if I exactly like that system, because I know that I am not a person that will spam League at the moment, because I was like that and it didn't really feel like it was worth it. And now I can basically play less and basically get higher rank simply from basically determine what games I want to play. I do believe that there is a issue with the current system, but I don't really like the MMR should be your LP system. So what do you think about like the spamming games part?
I reckon Riot would like that because obviously you get more people playing their game and have to play it for longer. But I don't think the player base would like that because obviously they'd have to play 10 times the amount of games they normally would to get to the rank, especially the higher elo players where it's like 20-minute queue times, then 15 minutes of dodges, and then a 5-minute game because your bot lane's decided, nah, I don't want to play this anymore. So I don't feel like that would be a good system, but I feel like it would be at the same time because then we wouldn't have to deal with a plat 4 player that's now diamond 1 because he managed to play 10 normal games with his friends.
So we have a comment here from Nightingale saying that they should just tell you your MMR in-game. So back in the very early seasons of League, even before I started and before you started, they basically told you what your MMR was in the game, and now it's kind of like it's hidden. Like you can see it in your LP gains, and there's some websites that will give you a rough estimate, right? But do you believe that Riot should just straight up tell you like, hey, this is your MMR, and then you like everyone can see it and now you know it?
I feel like if they didn't change dodging and they told you your MMR, I reckon everyone would just abuse literally everyone, because it become more relevant that, oh, your MMR is fucked, dodge your promos, or derank on purpose, then climb back up, or things like that. So I feel like it'd be bad if they didn't change their current system of like being able to abuse dodging and like gaining more LP for that. But if they did change that, I reckon it'd be okay.
So we have a question here from Aiden saying, so what does it really mean when right now I'm gold 4 and I lose as much LP as I get when I have reached the peak that I basically belong here? So yeah, basically, what do you think, if you're gaining the same LP as you're losing, is that basically your peak? Or is it actually when your LP gains start being lower than your losses? When you say that like this is where you have peaked in terms of MMR or rank?
Like LPs doesn't determine if you belong there or not, I feel like, because one of my accounts was gaining plus 11 and losing 19, and I managed to climb from plat 4 to diamond 1 on that account. So I don't feel like it matters how much you're gaining. I feel like the win rate is what matters, because if you're consistent and you're winning more, I'd say 51% win rate, you're going to be climbing eventually. Even if you're gaining the same amount you're losing, if you're winning 1% more games, you're going to climb eventually. So I feel like don't worry too much about your LP gains and LP losses. Obviously, if you're gaining plus 11 and losing 20, just go next account. There's no hope really.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's doomed account if you're going even in terms of LP gains. Like, no, you can definitely climb with it still.
Even with it's like you're gaining 16 and losing 18, it's still climbable very easily. But yeah, if it's like, I'd say within a 6 LP gain and loss, then I'd say go next.
Yeah, basically like being consistent is like the best thing. But a question that I would ask you is, do you think that MMR should basically inflate short term or long term? So let's say that you go on, so Riot basically said, oh, if you win 10 games in a row, your MMR should increase. But I personally, like if I go on a 10 game win streak, my LP gains are either the same or they're actually dropping by a few LP. Do you feel like it should be determined on your last 10 games or your last 50 or last 100? Like basically your MMR and your LP gains?
I'd say last 100 games because then they have a good bracket of where you're supposed to be and what elo you kind of fit into. I had the same issue. Before the earlier this season, the LP games were completely screwed. I had an account. I was 28-3 on the account, and I was gaining plus 14s and losing 20s because the account was gold last season, but I was now in like plat 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I tweeted Riot and I was like, "Yo, what's going on here? Like, why is my MMR so bad? I'm winning like every game." And they was like, "Just win streak and win
Yeah,
more." And
just
I,
win
and I
more.
was on a 14 win streak, and I was like, "Right, sorry, my bad. I lost 2 games back in 1990." Like, so yeah, I don't know about that one. That's a rough one again.
So
Riot's kind of just whack with their MMR system.
so if you win like more than you lose in like your last 100 game, basically like you should be rewarded in terms of gaining more LP.
I feel like yeah, not to like a stupid amount, but if you was like, say for instance you won 70 games and lost 30, I feel like they should think, okay, let's give him more LP until his next 100 games, and then if he's winning 50 games, losing 50 games, that's where he's meant to be. He'll climb slowly or he'll fall slowly, depending on how consistent he plays.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that system is a lot better because right now, to me, it's just a complete mystery. Like, there's some people like we had people dodging master promos that was very very popular, and I did it myself. And it seemed like it gave you like on a short term really big LP gains and very short LP losses, but then like after 20 games, it's like it just stopped. Like it's like you're just back to normal now.
I did it with one of my accounts yesterday. It was Diamond 4 promos, and I dodged one of that. I was gaining plus 15, losing 17, dodged promos, won the next ones, and I was gaining plus 21s and losing 13s. And it's still plus 21s right now, so I'm not sure how many games it's going to be like that for. But I'm playing in D2 games on that account, so I feel like when I get to D2, it might stop and go back down again, unless I win streak, and then maybe it will keep going up till Masters, but it's unlikely because Riot's just, their system makes no sense to anybody, and anyone who says they know what it's about, they just don't.
Yeah, because I basically made a video basically showing that I made an account that was peaking in low masters. I then demoted from masters, and then I promoted into, or I got to master promos, and I was gaining plus 14 in masters, and after demoting, I was still gaining plus 14 in D1. And in 3 days, by dodging master promos, I believe it's 7 times, I went from plus 14 to plus 28 LP gains. So basically doubling my LP gains incredibly, incredibly fast. Do you believe that you should be rewarded for dodging master promos, or that it should be nerfed a little bit, or that the current system is fine because you're not climbing essentially because you're still in the same elo, but you can then get higher eventually?
I feel like it shouldn't be that drastic of a change. I feel like if you're willingly stopping yourself from climbing and dodging on purpose, I feel like you shouldn't be rewarded for forcing yourself to stay in an elo that you're not. Because technically, it's like smurfing, really, in it. And Riot really don't like smurfs. So if you're forcing yourself to stay in an elo that Riot don't think you deserve to be in, but think you need to be higher, then I feel like you shouldn't be rewarded for that.
We have an interesting comment here from Nightingale again. Do you believe that individual performance should matter? So basically, if you perform well, you would get punished less. And if you play well, you would get more LP essentially, compared to if you're playing worse, you would get punished more compared to like the average player in the game. Do you think that's a good idea or no?
I mean, in essence, we'd all want that to be a good idea. We'd all love that. Like when we're like 10-0 and our bot lane 0-26, and then we lose the same LP they lose. Like we would love to be able to be like, oh yes, like I'm only going to lose 5 LP and they're going to lose 16 because I played really well that game. But then it's a matter of like what counts as playing well. Like if I go 0-0-0 but have 300 CS, like I could just stay in base, and lose less LP or play for KDA, things like that. There's so many things that could factor into that. As much as it would be nice, I don't think it'd be possible to do.
I would say it's a terrible idea because it just makes people go KDA player mode. They will just not die. So sometimes as a tank, like I always say, as a tank, it doesn't matter if you die 10 times, as long as you're dying like to win a team fight. And it actually matters when you die. Then I think it's fantastic. Like just perma-die, go in all the time. We win the fucking fights. It's good. But if you're playing an ADC and you die 10 billion times, like that's bad every single time that you die. So if it's like that, then I feel like no one will just play tank. Everyone is just gonna play like KDA safe mode, and then the
Yeah.
game will just be like a 50-minute slow poke, and then one team fight happens and one team ends the game. So I don't like that idea whatsoever. I feel like it's fine as it is right now, and I like the fact that if people hard leaves, then people like basically lose less LP. But I wish that if you got like griefed in other ways than just people like opening or like leaving the game, that you would get reduced LP, because some games it's like, yeah, it's just not your fault and there's nothing you can do, but you get punished equally the same. So that's kind of like the only thing that I would like, but I also know it's just never gonna happen. Riot's never gonna introduce it.
What do you think about the loss mitigated that they have if someone leaves right now? When you get like less LP taken from you when it's like usually 1 LP taken away or something like that.
For me, it's like I lose maybe 2, 3, 4 LP less, so I feel like it's okay, but it's still of course annoying because I'm losing because of someone rage squatting, right? But at least it like makes it a little bit better, right?
Would you feel like they could improve that, like make it more? You like less you're losing less, or you reckon people would just abuse that? Like, oh, you have a duo and he has more LP than you, so he AFKs and you lose half LP. What do you think about that?
I don't think you can abuse it because it's also in the next game you'll basically gain less LP. So the person that leaves will basically gain less, like 2, 3 LP less, and even more the next time that they leave. So I feel like they made it safe so that you can't abuse it, but I would maybe say like reduce half of the LP. I feel like that would be fair, because then it doesn't feel as bad, because right now it's maybe like what, 20-25%. I feel like you could up it to like about 50% of your LP will be reduced in losses, and then I feel like it'll be fine. Like it's not gonna hurt.
Yeah, 50, I feel like 50% is fair if someone leaves the game. I'd say if they leave before 10 minutes, and then it's half. If they leave at 15 minutes, it's like, I don't know, 45, 30% maybe, something along those lines. Because if someone leaves straight away, obviously,
Yeah.
there's no chance of winning that. But if someone disconnects, I don't know, 10 minutes at 20 minutes, there's a chance you can win it still.
So what do you think about when people DC but actually end up getting back into the game, but they're gone for more than 3 minutes? Do you feel like it's fair that they get punished like the full amount, or did you feel like that they should be reduced? There should be no punishment if you win, or what's your take on that?
Like if they come back and play for at least the next 10 minutes or 5 minutes of the game, or until the end of the game, I feel like they should get half LP, not completely screwed over and 0 LP.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fair balance point.
Yeah.
So let's move into the second last question here. The Dr. Mundo rework. So I don't know if you've seen, it came out last night. Have you seen the rework?
Yes. I have,
yeah.
Yes.
What do you think about it?
It honestly depends on his numbers, really. I mean, his kit hasn't changed dramatically at all, which is great, because we don't want to have another Kaiser dashing about and, that sort of overloaded kit. I feel like if his numbers are okay, he's not going to be that much of a menace. I think he's just going to be the same as he was before, with a 2021 splash work, basically. That's nothing really changed about him.
Yeah, so they changed his passive, his W, and his E, and I like the fact that they kept his Q and R kind of as it was before, because I feel like that was a pretty big part of Mundo. I'm just a little bit sad that they removed him from jungle and put him back into top lane, because I was really big fan of Mundo in the jungle. But the thing that I'm a bit surprised about is the fact that they've announced this maybe 1.5 years ago, and only now they're changing it, and then this is the change that's happening. Like I feel like you could do this change in 3 months, because in the last 1.5 years, yeah, sure, we got some new champions, right? But in the meantime, you could rework Mundo way, way faster. And it's a bit weird that, oh, now he goes from jungle into top lane, and maybe if the rework doesn't fit him into top lane, but fits him back into jungle, then he's just like permanently moving from one lane to another. So I'm just surprised that it took them so long to do so little on a rework.
Their excuse about not changing him too much was apparently from the LPP Discord. They said they don't want to change his identity because of what they happened with Aatrox. Basically, all the old Aatrox mains with that absolute weird champion got completely reworked into a new champion. It was like nothing like the old ones. They wanted to keep his identity of how he was before. So that's why they kept his cleave, his ult, and only changed a little bit of it and basically gave it a paint job, basically.
Yeah, I feel like the rework is fine. Like, you can call it a rework. It's just, it took so long to come up with this concept. So it's like, if you ever come up with a dead, like if you're playing a dead champion that really just needs a rework, like I feel like they announced Udyr. Didn't they announce something like that? Oh, it was Volibear and someone else.
Nocturne, I think it was.
Yeah, Nocturne. There was a vote where both Nocturne, Udyr, and I believe Shyvana was also in there, and two more other champions.
Yeah.
So if you're playing one of those champions and they're just completely dead, and you feel like, oh, I'm so excited, my champion gets reworked, and it should be like an improvement, it should be an update, and then you can wait like a year or a year and a half, and then this is basically what they come up with. It's like, what is this budget rework? Like, what can I use this for?
I mean, they did the same with Diana, didn't they? They changed her, but it took them. I think they did the rework within. I think it was like 3 months, and
Yeah,
all
but
they
didn't
did
they
was
just
swap.
change two abilities around?
Yeah, they swapped 2 abilities, and I hate it. I would rather have the old one, but yeah, I feel like they could have done so much more with Mundo, but I feel like they just wanted to get him out. But if he was useless before, he's going to be the same. Basically, he's not going to fit into the game. He's just going to get kited out.
Yeah, he
Same
was
as
very
was before.
situational before.
Yeah.
So do you believe that Mundo like needed the rework? Because in my opinion, I didn't have a completely big issue with Mundo being like, oh, my champion is so dog shit. Because there are also similar champions to Mundo that is very like melee, slow, doesn't have like all of this like ulting, flashing all over the place type of stuff. So I was actually okay with Mundo. Maybe that's just because I feel like the champion was quite strong in some situations, but I didn't really need it as a player that has been playing Mundo in the jungle previously.
I feel like Mundo was okay, honestly. I don't feel like he needed the rework. Maybe like a visual rework,
Yeah.
because his skills just looked terrible. He just looked awful. He looked outdated. But I don't feel like he needed like to change anything in his kit. Like I feel like he's okay the way he was. Um, the new passive is nice, obviously. I'm curious if he still has the if he takes HP from himself, if he Qs and Es.
Yeah,
I'm not
that would
sure
be
if he still
interesting.
has that. I also wanted to know if his Q and E are auto attack resets, because if they are, you could run some crazy stuff like Hail of Blades and auto Q, E auto, and get an insane amount of burst damage instantly.
Yeah,
So
the
I had to
old
wait
E
and test that.
was auto attack reset.
Yeah, the headbutt, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see if they kept that in, then I reckon he'll have a place in the top lane trading in melees, but I feel like he'll just be counterpicked by something like a Gnar
Yeah.
pretty easily.
So who do you believe like needs to rework now? Because now we have like the Mundo rework, we had the Diana rework fairly recently, and they're also coming up with some new champions very very soon. So who do you believe like needs a rework the most right now?
I feel like Shyvana is a pretty good go-to. Like she does fit in with its like AP jungler meta when she was quite decent
Yeah.
building her AP, but I feel like her kit's just without dragon form, she's just
Yeah.
absolutely useless. Not even a champion, basically.
Yeah, I agree. Like the AD Shyvana is just completely useless now. Nobody
Yeah.
builds it, and the AP one is literally just you poke. Like if you're ahead, you one shot, but if you're not ahead, then
Yeah,
you use E 3 times, and oh, be right back, guys. I need to like stack my raids in the jungle.
Yeah.
See you guys in 2 minutes, and then you come back, and then you're like active for 30 seconds. It just didn't really work out. So
Yeah, I feel like Shyvana would be probably high up there with needing reworks. Other champions, I was gonna say Warwick, but he already got one, didn't he?
He did.
I feel like he's okay right now. He doesn't need changing.
He's good in
Trying
low
to think of
elo. I think high elo the champion is just never gonna be played.
There's that one player who plays in mid lane, isn't there? I think he's like Grandmasters in NA or something.
Yeah, there's also some top lane players, but it's just such a cheese pick with barrier and exhaust and whatnot.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I don't want that guy on my team. Give me a Nari top lane or a Malphite instead.
Yeah, no, I think Shyvana would take the #1 spot if I was to be picking who's next.
Chad is saying Cillian and Ivern. What do you think about those two champions?
Ivan's fine. Ivan's completely fine. Like, I mean, his playstyle is pretty boring.
Yeah.
Like, just running from camp to camp doing nothing. But Zillion, I guess his kit's kind of... But it serves its purpose. It serves its purpose of his ultimate being the main focus of his kit being the Time Master or whatever the hell he is. So I feel like he's okay as well. Like, I don't think he needs... I feel maybe you could change his double bomb thing maybe and add something else instead of resetting a cooldown. That could maybe give it like a mini rework, but nothing too like major.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say so I think Cillian is, to be honest, completely fine. Iron, the only thing that I've seen people complain about is the fact that with the new smite changes, now that you can get to 900 damage smite fairly fast, and basically having 1100, 1200 HP on base, that's basically what people are complaining about. So I feel like if you just buff Daisy to like 2k HP, or like 1500 or whatever, I feel like that would be fine. But I wouldn't say you need to rework Ivern, just buff Daisy, and Ivern's kit will be, yeah, completely fine in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine, yeah. But even so, if you're wasting Smite on Daisy, then you could use Daisy tactically around, next Dragon fight, next Baron,
Yeah.
and force them to Smite that and have that cooldown off.
Yeah, I just don't see the Ivern as a champion anymore. There was like a time where it's like really popular because I believe Moonstaff was meta, and then if you didn't have any support, you can even go double. You go Soraka support and Ivern, but if you didn't have a pure support, you can go it in the jungle. But I feel like the champion just doesn't fit in the current meta. It seems like either he's core meta or he's just useless. There's no like middle ground for that champion.
Unless you get them cheesy Ivern Rengar duos.
Yeah, but they're also
one in a million.
There's just so little amount of people that do that combo, but yeah. So let's get into the last topic here. If you could collaborate with any streamer, who would it be and what would you be doing?
Oh, any streamer.
I can go first if you want.
Yeah, go on, because I need to think about that one for a second.
So I would love to duel with Caps. Literally do a duo stream with Caps, 2 Danes. I play jungle, he plays mid lane. I know I stream for Fnatic, but I could go ahead and stream for G2, and then he would be the G2 player, I'll be the G2 streamer, and we would just pop off in solo queue, or we basically just duo in like D1 or whatever, and just pop off with some crazy combos. Caps will pick like his usual Vayne mid and whatever, and then I'll just come out with, I don't know, Ivern. He tells me to play Ivern, I go first time Ivern, and we win. So I would love that.
You just 1v9's the game.
Yeah. I would love that. That would be the dream at the moment to duo stream with Caps and duo queue with him. Because I have played with him in solo queue before for the past 2 years, and he just shitstorms everyone in solo queue. That guy is just insane. I don't know how he can do it, but every game he just 1v9s in mid lane when he's on my team.
I'm trying to think of players now, and I always play solo anyway, so I wouldn't be like, oh, I want to duo with this guy or whatever. I mean, it'd be nice to have a pro in one of my lanes who isn't running it down, but if it was going to be another streamer, I'd maybe say like someone like that I enjoy watching myself, someone like Keep It Taco maybe. Yeah, I think he's a really, really nice guy, and I'd love to play some games with him. Hopefully, when I move to NA, we'll probably run some games. Or I mean, we're both mid laners, but Quantum.
Yep.
Really, really enjoy Quantum. He's like what I would like to be as a streamer. Great champion pool, great stream. Yeah, I'd probably say one of them two for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all the questions. Do you have any topics you would like as a bonus topic or question that you would like to either like come up with here, or just that you feel like you didn't really get through enough?
No, I feel like we've got through pretty much most of it. Actually, no. How do you feel about playing high elo on stream? Do you feel like there's any incentive to play high elo? Because if for instance, I was playing GM on EUNE and it's 20-minute queue, permabans of target snipes, and then there's literally no reason to be in that elo and streaming because you spend 2 hours of your streaming queue, and then you could just play on a Smurf and have fun.
Yeah, so I think it depends on what server you're on, because on EOS we don't really have that long queue times, but I know Nordic and on NA the queue times can be really, really long. I feel like it gives you more viewers, but it's just hard because if the viewers expect you to respond to chat and come up with commentary and stuff like that, it's very hard because then you can't fully focus. So you'll not be playing like, you'll probably play like an 80% level instead of 100% level, which means that you'll lose more simply because of the fact that you're streaming and you're being distracted.
Yeah.
But if chat like leaves you alone and they're like, oh, let's just watch him play the game, and then after the game we will ask questions, then I feel like it's fine. But then you run into the issue like you need delay because people are tryharding and they'll ghost you, they will target ban, so you need to hide your champion select. So I feel like it depends like what type of community you have and how respectful and understanding your community is in terms of you playing in high elo. Otherwise, I would say like if you really want to focus on getting like a lot of viewers, a lot of hype, like everyone is doing like the unranked to challenger in a new role basically. And I feel like that's kind of fun because you still learn and you kind of see some aspect of the player, but he's still like, he doesn't really know what he's doing because he needs to completely learn a new role. So I'd probably say that content wise, it's better to do like I'm gonna do unranked to master challenger or whatever on a new role, rather than I'm just gonna grind to challenger on main role or rank 1 or whatever it is. So I think it depends like both on your community, but also well what type of streamer you are, like how you would stream if you streamed in high elo.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yeah.
So yeah, like basically like delay and map cover and stuff like that. By the time that you get to higher elo and you know basically all the names and everyone knows who you are, then it kind of like ruins the game experience when you're playing on stream compared to off stream, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like I play a lot worse on stream. Like on stream, I'll go on a 5 loss streak because I have people come into my chat. Oh, is Diana good in low elo? And I'm like, yeah, man, for sure. Play Diana in low elo. Take these runes, and then I get ganked and I die instantly.
Yeah,
Like,
you always get distracted. It's like I'll say something and then I completely miss the fact that enemy jungle is ganking top and I could counter gank if I wanted to, but I'm like, oh, so what's the new build? Oh, let me tell you, bro, it's this. And then my top lane just gets shit on and I get spamming. I'm like, well, my bad. I was reading Twitch chat, man.
That 2 seconds you look at chat would have been looking at the map instead or something, and it's just horrible.
Yeah. So are you gonna like? Would you rather play in high elo? Or would you rather do like the new role to high elo?
I feel like I don't mind playing on like high elo accounts on stream, but I think I would rather just play on Smurfs and climb up because it's just so much less stress and more fun for me as well. Like I don't want to be waiting in queue for 30 minutes watching Daily Dose of the Internet with my stream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm a League streamer. I want to play League. I don't want to sit here and play fucking queue simulator. So I think I would like to be able to play in high elo games and have that for my viewers to watch. But at the same time, I want to be engaging and talking to my chat, building community. I don't want to be like ignoring them and just focusing on, oh, well, he just warded there. I need to go there now, you know?
I feel like I would like to mix it up. So mostly I would like to do like the interactive with chat stuff and playing like in lower elo. But I'd also like sometimes, because I have that competitive drive, like I need like a high elo game where I want to pop off against like actual human beings that I know who they are, and I feel like that's just a lot more fun when you can actually focus. Because for me, if I play against 5 randoms, I mean, if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. But if I'm playing against actual human beings, I'm like, oh wow, I can actually try something out here, or I can see how good I'm compared to a person that I actually know, or I can get like a YouTube video out of it, or basically it's a lot more competitive because it's against a person that you actually know who is, and like he has maybe like previous solo queue records, or you've met him in the past and maybe have like some internal like either beef or competition where it's like, oh, I won like against you last time and I'll shit on you again. Like I love that.
Yeah.
But when it's against random, it's like just get me into a new game where I hopefully have human beings.
I feel like it's more relevant on NA though than it is EU. Like on EU, we barely have anyone on this server. Like
we have the pro players and like the national league, but we don't really have streamers. On NA, you have a lot more streamers.
You have so much more of an audience to be able to like, say for instance, you shit on Tyler 1. You know what I mean? It's in front of 20,000 people. Who do we have here? Like gross score? Like what? Like
we had when Jovi Roan from Brazil, he was basically climbing in US. I played against him. He apparently had 22k viewers playing against me when he was playing this, and I was playing Khazix. But he was just boot camping in US. So I feel like the biggest streamer we have in EU is Rat.
Yeah, all the EU streamers, the biggest one is definitely Rat, but I feel like all the EU streamers aren't English. They're all like French,
they're French, Spanish, German. Yeah. And then you don't know them. Most people just don't know them if you're English speaking.
Yeah, because they all have their niche communities.
Yeah, even though they're fucking massive. I swear to God, some of them have like 15k viewers, and like, who are you?
Like, I was versing Ilimo or whatever his name is, that Spanish dude, and he's like one of the biggest Spanish streamers in the world. And I was like, who the fuck is this? Like, I have no idea who this guy is. And my chat was spamming, oh, you're versing this dude, and I was like, yeah, I've not a clue who he is.
Chat is saying Nemesis, but Nemesis in Korea right now, so you cannot face him on the US anymore. But back then, the issue was Nemesis was a pro player. He didn't really stream, and then when he didn't get any contracts, then he started streaming. But then he streamed in Korea, so even though he's a big streamer, he never really streamed on EU West, and he was still like challenger as a pro player. So
there's like Jankos as well. Like he's quite a popular streamer right now as well. But I feel like I don't really count the pros because they already have that following just because they're pros, you know, like, but in comparison to like, I don't know, like for instance, again, Quantum, again, like he has a following because he's a content creator, not because he's a pro player.
Yeah. I have actually an interesting question now. EU Twitch rivals versus NA Twitch rivals. Have you followed like NA Twitch rivals?
I haven't followed NA Twitch rivals. I was in EU Twitch rivals draft and I was going to be picked up for a team, but I got they didn't want me because I was obviously an OTP at the time. So they was like, yeah, well, you're just gonna get banned out. But EU is just, I don't know. It's full of people I don't know. Like it's like maybe a handful of people that I know. Maybe the rest are just complete other language like that no one's ever heard of, basically, apart from if you're in that community.
Yeah.
So I feel like NA Twitch Rivals is such a big thing in comparison to EU. EU is literally just brushed off because of all the names in NA.
Well, I can give you a comparison. Like, it's not uncommon for NA Twitch Rivals to have like 50k viewers, but it's very uncommon for EU Twitch Rivals to have like more than 10k.
Yeah.
And I was also like in the draft, but the issue for me with Twitch Rivals was the fact that I was in the draft, like I was told I was in the draft that I got accepted, but most of the people that were drafting didn't even have me on like their list. Like it was like I got accepted, but I wasn't on their list.
Everyone in
So,
Twitch
I don't
Rivals,
know.
it was like there was like one English team, and then there was one Spanish team, and there's all just picking, Spanish speaking people, German
Yeah, yeah,
speaking people, and then obviously the English speaking people had friends of friends who knew they were. Like Foxdrop was in one of the teams, and he
yeah.
was like,
I
"Oh, I know
remember.
Xalt," all that, and then there was like, "Well, we're gonna get this person instead," or whatever. So there was like one English team. So like the countless English streamers that were in the Twitch Rivals only had a 1 in 5 chance or whatever because of that one single team that was picking English people. That was it. And I
Yeah.
think people kicked off a lot on Twitter about that, actually.
I would love to see EU versus NA Twitch Rivals.
That would be really cool.
I feel like that would just give EU some like popularity from NA, and then we actually get a chance to shit on NA again, just as streamers, not
It
as
would be
pro
really cool
players.
if maybe like that would be a really big event. Like it'd be huge. So if they made actually like a LAN event of it, like they flew out, I don't know, the NA players to EU or the EU players to NA to verse in the Twitch Rivals, but that would cost a lot of money, and I don't think they would do that, to be
No,
honest.
but they pay so much money in Twitch Rivals though. Like
Yeah,
they have so much money to
I'm
use that I feel like if you just do it once like per year where it's like EU versus NA, and maybe like every 3 months you have like the typical EU versus EU and NA versus NA Twitch Rivals, and like you have like a final, basically like a build up tournament in it. That would be really really insane. Because I remember they did it once, but only with one NA team versus one EU team. It was like a best of 3, and that was it.
I feel like they, even with the third place Twitch Rivals prize money, they could fly out the people from EU to NA pretty easily anyways. So I'm pretty sure they could do it, but you know how Twitch is with their
Yeah,
money.
they just want the money. They're not gonna
Yeah,
spend
they
money
don't
on
care. Like,
content. They just want money for
and
whatever
uptubs, they
content.
don't care.
Yeah. Do you have any last questions?
No, I'm good here.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much the end of the episode. So you can give yourself a shout out. Where can people find you, and what do you basically do in terms of social media?
You can find me on all social media at XaltOfficial. I am a mid laner, Diana OTP, if you haven't already guessed. And yeah, I just stream basically every day. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Thanks so much for joining, and have
Thank you
a
for having
good
me.
rest of your day.
I did. I appreciate it. See ya.
See ya.